You can think of the switch statement as a replacement for an if-then-else. So if you think that you're going to need an if statement and you realize you would have to have a lot of if-else, if-else, if-else in the middle of that because you have a lot of options, then it's a good reason to use the switch statement instead. The switch statement will have a variable and then brackets. In between the curly braces, you will put a number of different possibilities that you're testing for. Each case that you're testing for begins with the word case. And what follows the word case is either another variable name or a string or possibly a number, depending what the value of that variable at the top is going to be. So it might be a string, it might be a number, it might be, probably wouldn't be a Boolean because you're going to have a lot. And with Booleans, there would only be two possibilities, right? True and false. So after you've got the value that you're checking for, you need to have a colon. And after that, you can write as many statements as you need. And after you've written all the instructions that should be performed if that value matches in the case line, then at the end of a case, you have to write break with a semicolon. Oh, and your statements, of course, will also each end with a semicolon. Right? Like one of these might be a console log or whatever. No other curly braces are required other than the pair of curly braces that wraps the entire switch statement. So if you had another case, that would come below here. And you would test for another value, right? And then a colon. After you've written all the possible cases that you would test for, your last possibility is going to be default. And that is written like this. It's sort of like the else at the end of if then else, okay? And in the default, you will also write a bunch of statements or one statement, whatever you need, and also end with break. So you'll have case, case, and every case will end with break, and the default will end with break. So this is the pattern that you're going to always see if you need to use a switch statement. And the benefit to them is if you have a lot of cases, this is easier than writing if else with the parentheses and the curly braces and the syntax that's required for that. Now, when would you use something like this? An example that's easy to imagine is a phone menu. You know, the kind that annoy us when you have to make a phone call to some kind of office and they say, you know, listen to the options, and they say, if you want this, press 1. If you want that, press 2. If you want another thing, press 3. Well, these could actually be 1, 2, and 3. So each case could be a number. Not that we would be putting this on the phone, but you could be asking your user to choose from a whole lot of different options. You know, 8, 10, 20. And if that's what you're doing, using a switch statement is a really good solution.